Former President Donald Trump is wrapping up his first week on a criminal trial for alleged hush money payments. Now, the former National Enquirer publisher at the heart of the case was cross-examined on the stand for the second day. Raquel Martin is in D.C. with the latest takeaways.
President Trump is wrapping up his first full week on criminal trial for alleged hush money payments, cold.
In a freezing courthouse, it's very cold in there.
And with a message to his wife.
Wishing my wife, Melania, a very happy birthday.
Inside the courtroom, the 12 jurors listened as Trump's attorneys attempted to pick apart the testimony of former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker. Pecker admitted he helped Trump buy and then kill embarrassing stories in the lead up to the 2016 election. The ex-tabloid owner says Trump thanked him for his help in 2017 at the White House. A detailed defense attorney say did not match his previous statement. Trump and his defense say the catch and kill arrangement with Pecker is a standard operating procedure. But prosecutors argue the payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels and others were illegal because they were not disclosed in financial records. Trump is facing 34 felony counts of falsifying business records.
It should be over. The case is over.
And will be back in court on Monday. After Pecker wrapped up his 4-day testimony, Trump's longtime former assistant took the stand briefly. She is now just the second witness in a trial that's expected to span weeks. For now in Washington, Raquel Martin. Back to you.
All right. Chief Legal Analyst Clive Rhodes here to be able to talk more about this case. I first want to start off with, let's give me your insight. Man, you know I have a list of questions, especially from watching it today. But I want to get your takeaways of what really stood out for you.
So a couple of things. I mean, you can see that this has been a long week for everybody. The judge at 4:30 was like, listen, it's a wrap. At 4:30 on that, it's over. Let's go. It went exactly like I thought it would go. This is going to be, and I have to overemphasize it, a pretty boring and dry case. Most trials are extremely boring, but these facts, this is about documents, it's about transactions. Remove the president, remove the adult porn star, remove the fixer. This is boring, this is dry, and so it's not juicy. There's nothing about this that's going to be juicy. So the next probably 4 to 5 witnesses that you see will all be extremely boring. I mean, you had the bank executive talking about setting up an LLC. That's the type of stuff you're going to get. They introduced documents before they break for the weekend. So that's good for both sides.
So let's start with the prosecution calling Trump's longtime assistant or gatekeeper to the stand today. Ronna Graff worked for Trump for 34 years. Technically, she is now testifying against her former boss. She spoke glowingly about her time with Trump. How does this play for both sides?
Subpoenaed by the prosecution, obviously, to establish that he always says that he doesn't use email, doesn't use text. She confirmed that, but also that he signed checks. And so she talked about the history of him signing checks even when he was at the White House, the history of him signing checks and meeting people on business deals. And he talked about she talked about the established relationship between Stormy Daniels, seeing her in the lobby and all that. And so they were attempting to lay foundation. And it went chronological because Pecker mentioned her walking into the room with checks to Trump when he was in there. So you would expect that the next person, if I'm the prosecutor and I just had Pecker lay out this room where Trump is in there and I'm in there and some woman walks in, well, who's that woman? Hey, we have her now right before you and she can testify to you exactly what she saw and what she did. But that doesn't separate the fact that she still has admiration for her former boss. They asked her, did he think you were, intelligent? She said, I wouldn't work here for this long if I didn't. So she still has a respect for this person, and by all means, I think at the end of the day, both sides won from her.
What do you think about the Trump organization paying for her legal fees with her still testifying technically against Trump? I
mean, at the end of the day, this is a person that has a relationship with the former president. And so if this has caused her any inconvenience, she mentioned that today. He cares about her and her family, sometimes saying, hey, go home, go be with your family. Right. And so if now this has caused her some extra undue hardship, I'll cover the fees. But I'm not sure what the fees could be because she's a witness. The prosecution will talk to her. Maybe they can get her prepped for what's about to happen, but no one's filing charges against her. She's not up for any type of anything like that. And so I don't know what the fees would look like, but I can say their relationship still seems to be good. And her being on the stand for the defense was good because they want to try to paint him as a human being. You want to make him a human for the jury if you can.
That's what it seems like they're really telling the story.
You gotta be able to make him a human because right now he's this larger than life villain. That's what the prosecution has done. They paint him as this villain. So the jury, the defense team is like, no, he's a human. He's a regular person. So they're asking him light questions. That cross-examination was extremely different than most cross-examinations, I won't say they're confrontational, but you're trying to trip them up. You're trying to get them to say something different than they said on direct, because now you've made that witness look like a liar. His team didn't do that today. His team allowed her to just, say flowery things about Trump and allow the jury to see him as a human being.
And just outside looking in, I mean, you have Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, which, in terms of how the public and how they're being viewed by the jury, versus you having somebody who worked for Trump for 34 years painting a glowing picture of her time there. I guess that all goes into consideration of this case. My last question for you, though, is this. In terms of who might be called next, who are you thinking?
Probably a couple more boring document pushing people.
Okay.
And then you would say, McDougal, maybe. Okay. I mean, because you talked a little bit about her with Pecker's testimony. Think about it. He was on it for 10 plus hours. So he laid a lot of foundation.
Right.
And you needed him to be on the stand so he could lay foundation for Cohen whenever he gets there. But the only one that I could see that would probably be juicy would be Karen McDougal next. You obviously don't want to do Stormy Daniels now, but I would say that's who I would go.
And also, when you mentioned in terms of it not being as juicy and the fact that you don't have cameras inside the courtroom, I think that's what's causing a lot of people to say, well, let's just get the highlights.
As we quickly wrap, I'll say this. This case and the documents case are probably the two weakest in terms of the juiciness. But then when you get to the stuff with January 6th and the election subversion and the riots and the protests, that right there will have facts, because there was violence, there was co-op meetings, there was a lot, and it'll be in Georgia potentially, or it'll be on video. There's a number of things that I think make that case a lot more intriguing, and a lot more folks will be watching.
Just in terms of the general public being
For
more
sure.
invested into following the case. Colleague Rose, appreciate your insight.